Alright, for question 32, the directions say to find the amplitude, period, and phase shift of the function in graph 1 complete period. Okay, well, as far as the amplitude goes, that's A. Here we have the coefficient in front of sign understood to be 1. So that part's easy. We have an amplitude of 1. In terms of the period we discussed earlier is 2 pi divided by k, and in this particular case k is 1/2. So what we have is 2 pi divided by half. Dividing by a fraction is like multiplying by its reciprocal. So what we have is a period of 4 pi. The phase shift or horizontal shift, which we call B, is represented by pi over 4. So the phase shift, pi over 4, it's actually x minus b, so this is actually a phase shift of a negative pi over 4 units. X moves opposite. So now that we've identified these and we want a graph, we take a look. Amplitude is 1, so y is not going to be affected. The period is changed, okay, so that is affecting x, and then we have the phase shift, which is also affecting x. So the y's stay the same, so the y's are going to be 0, 1, 0, negative 1, and 0. And in terms of the period and the phase shift and how this affects everything, well, what we're going to do is we're going to move to a negative pi over 4 because of the phase shift, and instead of counting by a half, we've doubled the period, so we're actually going to count by a full pi. So then what this would become is 3 pi over 4. Okay, this would become 7 pi over 4. This would become 11 pi over 4, and this would become 15 pi over 4. So when we started at negative pi over 4, and we ended up at 15 pi over 4, that gives us a period of 4 pi. So these are our values. Kind of hard to see. We didn't do a great job here. But here's what we have. And that's how we would set our window accordingly. Now another way of doing this, not to say that I would recommend this, but what we can do is we can distribute here to here. Okay? And what we get is we get y equals the sign of the quantity 1/2 x plus pi over 8. Okay, these are both affecting x. But remember, we talked about this, and this is kind of a technique that we've developed in terms of transforming graphs. We have the parent. Okay, nothing is affecting y. I've already decided that. So 0, 1, 0, negative 1, and 0. What we have affecting x are the 1/2 and the pi over 8. But in terms of the effects on x, everything is actually opposite. Addition, subtraction, multiplication is division, and order of operations is backwards. So what we would do is we would take the parent values here for x. We would subtract pi over 8, which is negative pi over 8, and we would divide by a half. Well, dividing by a half is like multiplying by 2. So what we have is a negative pi over 8 times 2 is a negative 2 pi over 8, or a negative pi over 4. Then we have pi over 2, which is 4 pi over 8. We're going to subtract. We get 3 pi over 8 times 2 is 6 pi over 8. Or reduced, we have 3 pi over 4. We have pi, which is 8 pi over 8. Subtract pi over 8, giving us 7 pi over 8 times 2 is 14 pi over 8, or 7 pi over 4. Okay. Next we have 3 pi over 2, which is 12 pi over 8. We subtract, gives us 11. Multiply by 2 gives us 22 over 8, which gives us 11/4 pi, or 11 pi over 4. And then last but not least, we have 2 pi, which is 16 pi over 8. Subtract gives us 15 pi over 8, 30 pi over 8, which gives us 15 pi over 4. So again, we've got the same values using a little bit different technique, but what we can see here, we can find the phase shift and we can find the period and the amplitude from both of these graphs We start, in the parent at an x value of 0. Here we start at negative pi over 4, so we shifted negative pi over 4 units here, or pi over 4 units to the left. In terms of the period, this is still one full cycle. This is still one full cycle. This is 0 to 2 pi. This is negative pi over 4 to 15 pi over 4, giving us a period of 4 pi. And then we also have an amplitude of 1 here. 0, we go up to positive 1 and down to negative 1. So we see the same things. If you want to take a look at this graph, let's see how this works. You can definitely plug this into your calculator, which I recommend doing, and changing the window that I'm about to show you. Obviously a lot more difficult here. There we go. That should work. Plus pi over 8. Okay? So we have that. Take a look and see if we can change the window. Make this look the way we want and see if our values match up. Alright, so if we're going to change our window here, let's change this to 15 pi over 4. I don't think that's reading correctly. 15. There we go. Okay, so we have that. Let's change this to a negative pi over 4. So we have that. And let's change the amplitude 1 down to negative 1. And what we have here is we definitely have one full cycle. Okay. And if you can see here, see if we can change the increments. That would be nice if we could do that, huh? Set the tick spacing, and let's count by pi over 4, not over y, over 4. See if we can force that. Ooh, can't see that at all. There we are, negative pi over 4 and 15 pi over 4. So we know that our values are correct. You can definitely do that in a graphing calculator as well. And that's how you solve and graph question 32.